Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. It's Riyadh time again. Coming up this weekend, we've got another stack card, and on that card, but I should point out it's the Bivol Beterbiev fight is the main event. If you've been living under a rock, that's the one for all the marbles. One of the great light heavyweight fights, I think, for the last. I mean, you can go back to the 70s when you had Michael Spinks, Muhammad Kawi, and Matthew Starr Muhammad and all that lot. This is up there. This is a really important fight, but we'll come to that later. Let's talk about Jai Opetaia, the IBF cruiserweight champion, who's going to fight Jack Massey. And I think Opetaia must be getting indigestion. He's feasted on all of these Brits, you know. I mean, he did Ellis Zorro in a round, who was undefeated at the time in 17. Before that, he beat up Jordan Thompson, who looked really huge compared to Opetaia, but was no match for him. Thompson was undefeated in 15. He got smashed to bits in 4 rounds. Prior to that, there was the title-winning effort by Opetaia against Marius Bradis, and he ended up with the jaw busted in 2 places. I actually, weirdly enough, I thought I had a big question mark over Opetaia's head because of the punishment he took in that fight. I thought, is he ever going to be the same again? You know, he said in an interview that his lower jaw was sort of hanging off by the ligaments because it was busted, you know, seriously busted. But he won a 12-round, well-deserved decision over in Australia and took Bridis' IBF cruiserweight title. He then got stripped, which I thought was very, very unfair. Well, he was stripped actually after, I think, the Thompson fight, if memory serves. But he won it back against, again, Bridis in his last fight. And that was another 12-rounder. Easier for Opetaia, second time round. Bridis had seen better days in his late 30s. Afterwards, he retired. But Bridis came on strong in the last third of that fight and was asking some serious questions of Opetaia, which, to his credit, he answered, just like he did the first time. But Bridis is an underrated cruiserweight. You know, he's retired now. He retired with, I think, 28 wins and 3 defeats, I think it was. A very, very good cruiserweight who deserves to be, you know, far better remembered than he's probably going to be. He's actually from Latvia. Offhand, I'm sure there are other professional. Well, is he the only world champion from Latvia? Offhand, I can't think of another one. But a tiny country. But Bradis deserves a lot of credit for his career, and Opetaia deserves a lot of credit for twice beating him. That man's no pushover. So Opetaia now, he's now 25 wins, no draws, no defeats. He's got 19 KOs. He's a 6'2" southpaw. He's from New South Wales, from Sydney, and you know, he is fully expected to beat Jack Massey. Let's be honest here. Massey earned this shot with some would say an upset win over Isaac Chamberlain. Chamberlain was much fancied to win the vacant EU title, and I think the Commonwealth belt was on the line as well. And Massey deservedly beat Chamberlain. They were 2 of the cards were like 115, 113. I thought Massey won that wider, but anyway, the right man won it, and that got him this big payday, this big opportunity. He's 22 wins with 12 KOs. He's got 2 defeats, and one of those defeats was only last year, the start of last year, January 2023. He actually went in with the heavyweight Joseph Parker and took him the distance to the surprise of a lot of people, myself included. And when you consider the sort of run that Parker's gone on, that defeat has aged very, very well. His other defeat was to Richard Riakpo over 12 rounds, and that was in 2019. So those are the only 2 people that have beaten him. And yes, he's a rank underdog, but he's going to be used to that. And it is good to see a, you know, quote unquote unfashionable fighter like Jack Massey getting a nice payday over in Riyadh. I mean, you're talking about an orthodox fighter, 6'4", like I say, 31 years of age, so he's 2 years older than Opetaia. Boxes a bit, but can also fight. You know, he's not a runner, He likes to box sensibly, almost textbook, in a textbook manner. I wouldn't say he has a lot of spite to him, which is the polar opposite of Opetaia, who is a very, very nasty individual. And I mean that in a complimentary way. Don't come for me, Jai. No, he's very, very tough guy. Opetaia has got that nastiness to him. Massey doesn't seem to have that. You see him interviewed; he's a very sort of down to earth, regular guy. I think he's from Chapel on the Frith, which kind of sums him up. You know what I mean? Chapel on the Frith in Derbyshire. Where are you from? Well, you from, you're from the East End, are you? You're from Glasgow, the Gorbals. No, I'm from Chapel on the Frith in Derbyshire. Oh, yeah? Oh, lovely. Well, that's Jack Massey for you. He comes across as being, quite a down-to-earth, subdued character, quite a nice fella. Contrast that, again, with Opetaia, who, has that intensity about him, which just seems to come naturally to him. I mean, he was interviewed by someone, I can't remember who, I saw it recently. And he was quite emotional. I think he was talking about his birth of his child. His partner recently gave birth. And he was talking about other things. He was becoming quite emotional. The tears were starting to flow. But he has that intense, everything is amped up to sort of, 10. And he fights like it too. He fights like it. He's extremely destructive. Technically very, very good. He's not a slugger. He's not a crude fighter at all. Technically very, very good. When the going gets tough, as it did twice with Bridis at various points of their fights, he can go with it. He's quite small for a cruiserweight, and he's talked about going up and beating up the giant heavyweights. I'm not sure about that, but he is. I imagine he makes the cruiserweight limit pretty easily. We're not talking, a so-called Bridgerweight here. Like a Lawrence Okoli was very big for the weight, for example. Riakporhe is very big for the cruiserweight limit. Opetaia can probably make it with a bit of discipline and with relative ease. And Massey himself, I think, Massey's probably a bigger man, not by much, but he is 6'4". Opetaia is 6'2", so his dimensions are slightly bigger. But it's not going to make a big deal. I mean, I find it extremely difficult to go against Opetaia in this fight. I think he's got too much experience at this level. He's also fought in Riyadh season before. You can't undermine those two victories over Bridis, and they're very, very impressive. And the way he dealt with Thompson and Zorro, although they were, domestic level cruisers, certainly untested at world level. The way he dealt with them clinically was, especially Zorro, that one punch knockout was something else. I think I have to go with Opetaia in this. I think Massey will try to box, might have some success for the first 4 rounds, perhaps. He's going to have to get through those early rounds because Opetaia comes out of the gate banging. But I do see Opetaia eventually kind of chopping down the taller man. He'll get clipped a couple of times, but Massey's only got 12 KOs in 22 wins. Massey can make it awkward for Opetaia. I think, definitely. I mean, just like he did in the 10 round with Joseph Parker. Massey's not a bad fighter. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. He may. It's feasible he could go the distance, but I just can't get past the fact that Opetaia is such a nasty puncher. Picks his punches well. Bridis was able to clip him, and despite that jaw being busted twice, he didn't go on the floor. Nothing. That jaw probably got a couple of titanium plates in it, but it hasn't. Sometimes, when that jaw gets cracked, I'm thinking of someone like Ray Mercer. Had an incredible jaw, the heavyweight from the 90s, Olympic gold medalist, I think it was. But you couldn't put a dent in his jaw, and then when it cracked, he was getting put on the floor, knocked out a few times. Mariusz Vak recently got done in 2 by Moses Atama. He's in his 40s, but he had an incredible jaw as well when he was a younger man. But now it's the water on rock effect. The water erodes the rock just by it, just rubbing over it. And so it is with boxers' jaws. Even the best jaws eventually crack. We're all just human beings. I don't see that happening with Opetaia anytime soon. He's only 29. I see him probably chopping down Massey, and Massey's going to have his moments, don't get me wrong, but I see him stopping Massey in about 9 rounds. I think he might even stop him on his feet. Massey might be on his feet at the end. Wouldn't surprise me if Opetaia clipped him early when he's fresh. But Massey, I think, has enough. I think being slightly bigger, having some skills, even though he's inexperienced on this particular stage, which is Riyadh, and Opetaia's been there before, I think he can probably survive. He might be put on the floor once or twice, but I think he'll probably make it to around about the 9th round and then get stopped. So I'm going for the Aussie to win this. By stoppage, about 9 rounds. But it wouldn't surprise me if it was earlier, to be honest with you. And I think Jack Massey will come out of this with a little bit of credit, because this guy's a killer. Opetaia's a killer, and very, very good fighter indeed. And if you can give him any kind of problems for any portion of a fight, like Briders did, you've got something about you. So, may the best man win, basically. I think it'll be Opetaia. So what do you think? Who are you picking? I'm guessing most of you are picking Opetaia, but let me know. Comments below, as always. Please, if you can subscribe to the channel, that would be great, because we're building up the channel. We want to try and get to 5,000 subscribers. That would be great. And also, if you like the video, hit that like button, and you help us out. They count the likes. I keep saying this. It's the algorithm. That's what I've been told. Oh, fuck, algorithm is. But anyway. Comments below. I'll have a read. And thank you for your time, as always. And I will speak to you soon. Bye for now.